happens so often and happens so easily until to send people to death based on that anywhere is absolutely crazy and thoughtless and cruel. Our country, the United States of America, is the only modern industrialized country that still does it. And we have the highest crime rate in the world. People who invade for it and tell you that, well, come out for it, promote it, and tell you you've got to have it because it stops crime and keeps things safe. It's just the opposite from all the data that we've been able to see. It doesn't keep anybody safe. It doesn't deter anybody. It just kills people often who shouldn't be killed. I don't think anybody should be killed, but it kills people who are often innocent. And so I will share with you what happened to me. At some point I will probably sit because I walk so much, my back complains when I stand too long. I grew up in Chicago and went to Chicago public schools. Fortunately for me, I discovered the library and learned to read, rather voraciously, everything, and became something of an educated person. I don't consider myself really educated, but something of an educated person. And I suppose it helped to shape my view of the world, helped to broaden my perspective of the world and life and so forth. I got married at a young age, too young, and had a son, and then got divorced too young. And I worked at various jobs. The first beginnings of my career after high school, I worked in what I like to refer to as the mines, which is to say, I did physical work, which when I was much younger, I didn't mind at all. In fact, I rather relished it. I saved money on health club, what you call it, right? And I managed to be in pretty good shape. So I did that for the first 7, 8, 10 years of my life. And then I went back to high school. I went to Chicago City College, which was called Southeast. Now it's called Olive Harvey. And kind of opened my vision, my sense of what the world is, and so forth. My family was very supportive, particularly my mother, my brothers and sisters. Until recently, no one in my family had a college education. So I decided that I would be the one. I'm the youngest of 12 children. My mother had 12 children. I'm the youngest one. And according to my brothers and sisters, it's her vow. I don't know if that's true or not. She said she loved us all the same. But anyway, I was determined that I would get myself an education. And I continued to go to school. I was in high school. And finally, I got myself a good job working in corporate America. I was super tired of it. I felt like I was somehow that's it. And I did that for a number of years. But this was in the time of great turmoil in these United States. Cities were burning, people were being assassinated. Things were not very calm in our republic. And I began looking for something, for a way that I could make a contribution, that I could do something that I could be proud of, that my kids would be proud of, and that would be useful to the society. I had a number of options. I could stay in corporate America and work really hard and probably end up with 2 ulcers by the time I was 40. I'm not putting anybody down who works in corporate America. Many of them do. God bless you. But for me, it was a bit much over against what was happening, particularly with my people, with African American people, and to a large extent, to this nation, to this America, so many countries that I have so far. So I was concerned about all of that and what to do. There was an opportunity after I realized that I didn't want to spend the rest of my life in corporate America. There was an opportunity to go to seminary. And I have always had a vital, driving interest in things spiritual, the nature of things that are beyond the physical world, and which might have to do with my black Mississippi religiosity. Some folks would say that, but I think it's because I'm a deeply sensitive human being who sees so much in the universe that is inexplicable, or that I can't account for in myself and other human beings. So when this opportunity came for me to go to seminary as a Ford Foundation Fellow at Chicago Theological Seminary, and I would graduate in 3 years with a master's degree, and I knew my mom would be proud of me, and I wasn't about to be a preacher because I ain't that nice, but I would have an opportunity to teach, and so I got involved in that. And I was there for 2 years, and after 2 years I dropped out, mostly for reasons that had to do with my inner turmoil, my inner demons, if you will. Now what to do with myself? Well, I had been in exactly 3 or 4 states of the 48 lower states in my life. I was born in Mississippi. I had visited Indiana, Michigan, Wisconsin, and I had been in places. And for someone who considered themselves a man of the world, and I knew there was a place called San Francisco, there was a place called New York, and they were all within the territorial confines of the USA. And I wanted to see some of these places. So when I dropped out of seminary, I began wandering the country. Now the interesting thing is that from a sociological and historical point of view, there wasn't anything at all, well, maybe a little bit, but not very unusual about that in the 70s. Young men did it all the time, sometimes young women. But the general difference was that they were usually white, right? And there's a tacit assumption that white people have, and it's a good one, that this is my country, I go anywhere I want to go, and as long as I'm not bothered, I do anything I want to do, and I speak the same language, we got the same money, and I'm cool, right? And generally speaking, that's true. In spite of the easy riding and being shot up a motorcycle, I was on a motorcycle, I was walking. And so that's what I began doing, and I began with tentative forays out, well, not so tentative, but one of my, in search of the sun, because you can't live in Chicago if you're homeless. And I had become homeless sort of deliberately, and I didn't know it at the time, but I was behaving very much as spiritual seekers have always behaved. I became a mendicant. I divested myself of all unnecessary things. And I had a Bible and some of the teachings of the compassionate Buddhists and other books that I thought were heavy. And that was my fare. That's what I engaged my mind with. And I began wandering the country. My first time out in search of some place that would be comfortable, because everybody said it was, I went to California. Well, California is a long way from Chicago, and my mom and my son were here, and they were my hearts, I mean, literally. And when you don't have any money, it's rough to get from California back to Chicago. You can't just go and buy a bus ticket or something. Then you got to hitchhike. So I did that once, made it back, got stranded in Salt Lake City, of all places. And some people were nice enough to move larger belts, give me money to get back to Chicago, which to my credit, I paid them. I said them later. To my own credit, my own mind, from the sheriff, they would help. They were in Salt Lake City, obviously. I couldn't tell like me to do that. But I did. Not because I'm such a good guy, I just felt good. So I did. And I would leave this time of year, or sometimes around November, and I would go south, or where it was warm. Once I discovered Florida, then it was south. So of course got orange trees growing in the yard, sunshine almost all the time. And it's only 11 or 1200 miles from here, right? Or less than that, depending on where you go. I tended to go to Miami, because Miami is the most cosmopolitan city there. You have all kinds of people with all kinds of ways. A lot of them look like me. And if you mind your business, people tend not to bother you. And there's plenty of sunshine, plenty of palm trees, and bridges and things to sleep under. And so that was what I needed. So I would go to Florida and stay the winter, and then when the climate changed, I would head back this way. In 1874, I had been in Florida for the winter months. And in the meantime, I sort of got my travel in, right? I had been to New York, been to San Francisco, been to LA. I had gotten around. I had seen something of my country. Not the way that I would recommend you see it, but if see it you must see it at all costs. That's what I did. I remember reading Henry David Thoreau's, one of my favorite people, American philosopher and so forth. And as you know, Henry was quite a fellow, protesting the Mexican War and so forth. When another great New Englander, Ralph Waldo Emerson, came to see him because Thoreau was in jail. And I suppose Emerson thought he was ashamed. He asked me, he said, Henry, what are you doing behind those bars? And Henry asked him, Ralph, what are you doing outside of the bar? So he was one of my favorite guys, and he said that if he wanted to go to China, and he worked as a woodcutter because he lived a simple life, right? If he tried to save the money from working as a woodcutter to get to China, it would take him, I don't know, 3 years, however long it would take, to save that much money to get to China. He said, well, if I started on the way to China walking, you know, then I would get there in a shorter time, and I'd probably have a lot of fun and adventures along the way. So, thinking that Henry was tough, I took his advice, and I just took off walking when I decided to see the country. And there I was in Florida. I was coming out of Florida and on my way north. And I had sort of found some peace in my own heart and mind and was settling down. I didn't know exactly what I was going to do, but either I was going back and forth from America, or I was going to go and get my little degree. I think that would please my mom, please everybody in my family, to have some money to do the stuff I needed to do. And I was stopped in Central Florida, a little town called Ocala. Most of you have heard of it, Ocala. And the police stopped me and asked me to show my identification, and I showed them my Illinois driver's license, my student ID card from the University of Chicago with my name and all that stuff on it. And he said, now you know, police don't, they get information, they don't need to give you information. So he says, a serious crime is going to